8:31. Okay, so let's hit it. Okay, so we continue with the mitzvahs of yeshivas hasukkah, right? The dinim that are associated with sitting in the sukkah, right? So we spoke about, how much you have to eat in the sukkah, how many times you have to eat in the sukkah, right? So this kevas, to this arai, beya, ksayis. So now we go into kol shivas hayamim adam ises ukasei keva uveisei arai. All 7 days of sukkahs, a person has to make his dira in the sukkah keva. In other words, that should be his permanent abode for purposes of living. Ubeisa, and he has to make his house though arai. How do you make your house temporary, right? I mean, your sukkah, you can't. Your house is your house, right? So it's a permanent fixture. So the idea is that just like your the whole center of your existence has to be your sukkah. Your house, you shouldn't even come into play when you're thinking about eating, drinking, learning, schmoozing. It all should be about the sukkah, right? Your house should be like just as if it exists temporarily. It's not. It's not really a permanent structure for yourself or a permanent abode, right? Where all your activities are and everything, your whole existence, your center of your existence should be in the sukkah. Fine. Next thing the mission teaches us, if let's say it starts raining, when is it mutter to exit the sukkah? So misha tisrach hamikvah. So the Gemara is going to say, what's a mikvah? Mikvah is a tafshil of beans, and it's something which really gets ruined very, very quickly. So once it starts raining and the drops, right, the raindrops get into the into this food, these beans, it's going to ruin it, and therefore, as soon as it starts getting in there, as soon as it starts ruining it, which again, this is a food item which gets ruined very quickly, Chazal say you can exit the sukkah. Now, of course, there's it would be a travesty. I didn't see the Gemara talking about this, so I think the Gemara doesn't actually, but it'd be a travesty. We didn't actually just talk about some little halakha l'maisa on this because this is very, very negaya. So first of all, this there's a difference in the first night of Sukkot and the rest of Sukkot, right? We know the first night there's a major machlekes rishonim if you have to if you have to eat in the sukkah, at least a kizayis or a kebeya, right? We had earlier the machlekes of Elazar and Chum, but everybody agreed the first night's a chiyuv, right? We learned tesvav. So we talk to the Ramah Paskin is like the rush that we make a bracha, right? So we go and make kiddush, we make a bracha, and we even say leisha b'sukkah the first night, even while it's raining. Others disagree vehemently, and they say Teshuvah came to do. A person would never eat in a place where it rains. I think the Rajba, and therefore he says that of course that you don't go in, you don't make a bracha, you stay at home because Teshuvah came to do. Make a tesha. You can do it. Others even say that there's no din of a sukkah b'chlal. Once it's raining, right, either a din of mitzvah, right, is there's a machlekes why when it's raining, right, you can go inside. Is it din of mitzvah or is it din there's no shame sukkah here? So therefore they say stay inside. And then others say, and the Mishnah brings us as well, is that you should go into the sukkah. Yitaka should wash, make kiddush, but you shouldn't make a bracha leisha b'sukkah because it's a real shaila. It's a something, if you're mitzvah, you put them in a sukkah. So how could you make a bracha leisha b'sukkah, right? I mean, there's no mitzvah when you're mitzvah. So therefore, he says he does bring a kohen musay. You shouldn't make a bracha. I think for the Ashkenazim, most of us all paskin that we go in that first night, even while it's raining. Others wait till mamish late till the people wait till very, very late. Hopefully the rain will stop, which is the minig also. But others really don't like that because, like we had earlier, v'samachta after the reisecha, you're supposed to have simcha, and of course, if the family can't stay up, and if it's a tircha on the family, so you're overriding the mitzvah of simcha with the mitzvah of sukkah. So make a taste, you should do that. But the other days of sukkah, clearly everybody holds get out, leave the sukkah if it's raining. But the reason why it gives a shiur over here in the Mishnah of Misha Tisrach HaMikvah, right, that when your tafshil starts becoming ruined is because Chazal didn't want you just to run out the second it starts raining, even though you're mitzvah, right? They wanted at least to, why? Because it should show that we have some simcha from mitzvah. We're also mitzvah leaving the sukkah, right? Many rebbes used to say they'd rather sit in the sukkah and be mitzvah because it's more mitzvah for them to leave the sukkah. Right, so they'd rather sit in the sukkah because it's less tzar to sit in the sukkah where it's raining than to leave the sukkah and sit at home where it's not raining. But the Maisa, the Mishabura, I think the Shulchan Aruch calls you a hegel, as we know, and therefore the Maisa we know not to. But we shouldn't just be happy that it's raining and look forward to start raining so that we can then eat it in the house. The whole idea here is that Chazal want us to at least try, to leave it. We shouldn't kick the sukkah when we leave. We should feel bad about leaving the sukkah because that really is supposed to be our permanent home. It's a place of kedusha and so on. Fine. So that was just a little spiel on that. Mashlu mashal, and then Chazal give a mashal to when the taka rains on sukkahs. And many say this is only referring to Eretz Yisrael. Why? Because in Eretz Yisrael, it never rains, right? During the summer, usually through Sukkot. So if it rains the first night of Sukkot, that's clearly a sign that it's bad, right? What's the mashal? When it rains on Sukkot, to an eved that comes to pour a kais for his rabbi, and the rabbi takes a whole jug of water and throws it back into the face of the eved. So in other words, Hashem, we're coming to do a mitzvah here. And Hashem is telling us, Timishkin Taivas, go back to your house, right? I don't need your mitzvahs. And the Vilna Gaon explains, I guess, say very quickly, very superficially, just says that, that Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah is a time of din, it's right time of Yira, Sukkah is a time of Ahava, time of Simcha, and Hashem usually tries to even up the sides, right? And he doesn't want to have too much din and too much racham, so he gives us a combination of both, and usually they offset each other. But if Hashem's taking away our Simcha, we can't be in the Sukkah, it's taking away the mitzvahs, right, that we have to be in a Sukkah, to be right, and that racham that he has, right, by being in the tzilut dehenguso, so that means that he's diluting this rachamim now, because now we have less of it, we're gonna have more din. So it's that's what limzayk also means. To pour also means to dilute. So Hashem's diluting the rachamim that he has that he had first waiting for us for sukkahs, but and then now there's more than a rachamim. Fine, and I'm going to explain this mashal a little bit more. Turn around bottom. Right, this again a quote from the Mishnah, right? At all 7 days, a person should make a sukkah keva permanent, and his house should be temporary. Ketzad, a person has nice kalim, right? His best dishes, malin the sukkah. Matzois noise if he has, obviously his mattresses and other nice bedboards and his best beds, right? He shouldn't just bring out like a blow-up mattress, but whatever he's got, malin the sukkah, bring it out to the sukkah. Oichel, the say he should eat and he should drink. Umetayel basukah, and also just time to relax, right? That's where he should hang out. He should hang out in the sukkah. That's the place to hang out. How do we know this? Turn around, no, we learned it right. So teishu kain teduru, right? So everything always comes back to teishu kain teduru. And kind amru. So from here we say that you have to live in the sukkah, sukkah like you live a whole year in your house. So how do you live? Kosher as a yamin. I started sukkah keval. They say, all right. Kates out. If you have nice kalim, again, just repeating it. The sukkah is a brisa that really just all it does is just kind of give you the makar for this din, and the makar is teishu came to do it. So therefore, if you have kelim nine man the sukkah, matzah is nice man the sukkah. Eichel the shaisa person should eat, the shaisa person should drink. Umatayel basukah, and a person should relax in the sukkah. Umishanein basukah, and a person it adds on one thing we didn't have before, and that was also mishanein basukah. You should also learn Torah in the sukkah. Mishanein is a lesson of the shinantom levonecha, right? Which doesn't really mean just to learn. It actually means to sharpen, right? Rashi brings over here as well. That right? Like to really, cut it up in pieces and to learn it, to learn it stark. And we'll have to understand what that means. But that's what the shinantom levonecha. Shinantom levonecha means that it should be so fluent in your mouth that you should be able to answer right away when you're asked by children or by talmidim. So Gemara asks Kasha. Says, how could that be? That Mishaning Basukah means that you like really learning like lumdis. It seems like he's learning lumdis, right? Learning Gemara and learning it with Amkus. Is that true? That's what a person's supposed to learn in the sukkah that way. Rava had said Mikra umisna Mitalalta. If you're learning Chumash, right? You're learning Mishnayos, which are fairly simple, straightforward. It's not very deep. You don't have to rack your brain. So then Mitalalta, that should be done in the sukkah. If it's sanuye, right? But if you're learning real learning, like Amkus with Svara and learning Reb Chaim's and learning with Achrayim and Kashis and all that, that's Bar Mitalalta. That should be done that can be done outside the sukkah. Why is that? Because for a person to really have the right focus and the right frame of mind, sometimes he needs quiet, he needs more avir, maybe he needs more space, or he needs to be in the house where it's more quiet. So that you're allowed to do outside the sukkah. So it's mashma, the fact that this brisa has said lashon of the mishanein seems to imply that it means to like really, you're talking about real serious, deep learning, not just I don't want to say superficial. Let's call it bikiyas. right? So Bekiyas type learning. Maybe like we'll say, Kinyan Hamesechta, like if you're just chazering, right? That maybe we would say is considered to be a more Bekiyas simple type of a learning because you're already just chazering, right? So you just rattling off what you learned already. So the Gemara says, Loi Kasha, and Echanami not a problem. Ha b'migras and ha be'eyune. Say Echanami. So when do we say, and I guess we have to say Mashani by us means to be learning, but learning like you're learning a lot, right? You are learning Gemara, you're learning Mishnah as well, but you're not learning it, very deeply. So Mashani does not mean that you're learning it deep. And the brisa that says that you could do it outside the sukkah, bar mitalalta, right? So that is, that means habiyune when you're learning it mamish bi'iyun. And when you're learning bi'iyun, so there in a chanam, you don't have to do the sukkah because, like we said, you need the right frame of mind. You need to be in a good setting, in a good environment. And sometimes being in a sukkah just isn't conducive to learn bi'iyun. Kihad the Rava bar chama, kihav kaini mikami the Rav Chisda. When they used, obviously back then, right? They used to always learn in front of the Rebbe because that's how they learned, right? They didn't have Gemaras. There was nothing written, so they were learning and they were standing in front of him. So at first, what they would do is Merati b'Gemara b'Hadi Adodi, right? So standing in front of him, they used to learn very quickly, just the dinim, the halachis, right? They used to rattle off mishnayos and halachis, and then afterwards v'hadar ma'ayni b'svara, and then only afterwards would they then go back and then get into the lamdas. And I think this is the makar for obviously the Shach and his mahalach they didn't like with American yeshivas is that he said you're supposed to first run through the Gemaras, make sure you understand all the Gemaras b'kiyas. And then afterwards, once you have a good handle on all the halachas and all mishnayos and all Gemara, then you can go back and learn be'in, right? How can you learn be'in if you only learn one blot, right? So, and but you see, that's how they used to learn. They used to rattle off. Apparently, it seems like all the Piskei Dinim, and then only afterwards is they would actually go into Ian. So you see that there's two basically facets to learn, and it's two components of learning, right? You have to do both. You have to do the Bekiyas part, and you have to do the be'in part. And that's the end of that. So that just addressed that din of Mashane. So it says Mashane should be in the sukkah. It means Bekiyas, right? It means not eat. All right, assuming no questions, right? Fine. Just because Moshe locked everybody out on mute, you can still unmute if you want. Make sure not talking to the wall. Amar Rava, Mani Mishtia, right? So kalim of drink. In other words, kli shtia, right? So this is cups. So used cups. You could leave them in your sukkah. In other words, even after you use the cups, you may say it's a bezoyin for the sukkah, like Rashi says, like that, like second narrow line. Rashi is the says because they're not disgusting, right? It's not a disgusting item to have a used cup. As a matter of fact, Mishabura brings that many people use a cup twice, right? They'll pour water in a cup; they don't necessarily just throw it out. Especially at the Rosenfelds, we used to even wash out our used cups back in the day because it was expensive. So we used cups twice, and that's how we did it. So therefore, that was not a bezoyin. However, mani michla, but kalim, right, used plates, right? So you have to use a plate, and it's you got bones of your chicken on there, and your plates are dirty. So then bar mitalalta, they should be removed from the sukkah. Interestingly, there is a machlekes about this as well, and like I said, everything always comes down to teishu came to duru. So we know that we sit around our dining room tables and there's used plates there for quite some time. Nobody just removes them right away. We don't consider it to be a bezayin. So therefore, many say that no, that it's not referring to used plates. Like Rashi says it's not the plates. Rashi says ka'aris, right? It's referring to the plates. But others say it's referring to the pots. And you'll notice if you eat by certain people that are Talmidei Chacham, they never let their wives bring the pot that the chicken was cooked into the sukkah. Like the actual pot, and then serve it over there. Why? Because pots, you never do that in your dining room, right? You would never do that how you live a whole year, and that's what they say. That's the money michli. The kalim of food is referring to the actual thing that you cook in, because that's not what's done a whole year. But in chanami, you could leave the plates that you used and ate from. That they argue in Rashi, and they say that you would be allowed to, because again, taste we're going to do, and that's how people live. Okay, assume everybody gets that. Fine. Chatzba. How about a pitcher that's used to draw water? It's made of clay. The shachil, or a bucket that's made of wood. Again, after they're used, they belong outside the sukkah, because again, these people don't usually bring kalim like this into a sukkah, so they don't belong there, and therefore, if for whatever reason you needed it, but you should then remove it immediately because it's not a place to put those kalim. Shraga. How about a candle? So you have a clay candle, right? Candle, whatever, it's made out of clay for whatever. Talalta. So that you're allowed to put in the sukkah. The Amri love it. Some say bar mitzvah alta. No, you cannot leave it in the sukkah. You should leave it outside the sukkah. Don't put your candle into the sukkah. So it seems like a machlekes b'mitzias, like, is do people do it? Do people not do it? So the marlad pligi. So it's really they both really agree. And what are they arguing? What's the difference between the two of them? The one who says you could keep it in the sukkah, he's talking about sukkah gedayla. And therefore, since there's enough room, it's not going to interfere with you being able to sit and eat because it's sukkah gedayla. So you can put the candle on a little table in the corner, and it actually maybe even will enhance the sukkah. So then you can do it. But if you have a sukkah katana, you have a small sukkah. So then we would say you should not do it because it's going to interfere. You won't be able to eat. So it's shiva by shiva tefachim. You can imagine you could barely put a bowl in. You could barely get your head right in there. If you put a candle in there as well, candelabra in there as well, it's going to interfere. Others say that actually the Chazal is giving good advice. If you have a sukkah katana, there's a good chance the sukkah will go up in flames if you put a candle in there. So there are Rishonim that learn that's the problem over here, and they're just giving good advice. Don't put a candle in there because you can likely burn up your sukkah. Mashenk sukkah gedayla, right? So you can be safe and right, similar to Corona, right? Should you go minyan, not go to minyan, right? Depends how safe you are. Fine. Yardu gesham. So let's say the rain comes down. Tana. We said that when can you exit the sukkah? When your mikvah gets ruined. What's a mikvah? Shalgrisen, right? So the Gemara says it's talking about beans, and these beans that, like Rashi says, they're very they get ruined very quickly. Rashi maheres lekakol b'geshami ma'at. Just a little bit of rain is going to ruin the food. So in other words, Hashem isn't making us stay there for a while, but He wants at least to stay a little bit, so that your food's actually starting to get ruined, and then you can leave, because like we said earlier, right? Just don't we don't want you running out of a sukkah, right? It's obviously a mitzvah. We should have a love for the sukkah. Abai was saying in the sukkah, and nashav zika v'kamaisi tzivasa, and the wind came and it blew like splinters of like from the schach or from a tree, whatever, into the sukkah. And this Rav Yosef, Rashi brings, was a big kanoi. Sorry, it was a big istinus, and so he's a big istinus. So he couldn't handle this, right? He was getting very uncomfortable, right? He had severe case of OCD. So pani lo mani mehachas. He said, "Get me out of here. Take my kalim and let's get out of here." Yeah, he wanted to scram. So I'm like, Tanan, we learned it in Mishnah Mishatisra Chamik. It's only when your food starts getting ruined, and that shear hasn't happened yet, right? Just a few splinters of wood flying into the sukkah it just doesn't seem like it reached that shear. So Amarle Lididi, for me, since I'm major OCD, kivan da anina datai amonistinis kemisha tisra chamikba damiloi. So it's as if my food got ruined already. This is the shear for me. So the Torah brings, this is actually very important halacha, that of course, generally when we say, you look at, let's say, mitzvah, right? You look at derech b'nei adam, right? You don't just say, and one guy can't just decide that he doesn't like that it's like 50 degrees and therefore he goes inside, right? We don't decide by one person. However, if you look at the whole category of istinuses, so if the derech for all istinuses or roiv is to taka not be able to handle a few chips of wood flying into your sukkah, so then you could leave. So and that's what the Torah brings, because the Magen Avraham brings, I think the Torah brings as well, and they say that's what's going on over here. So basically, he's not just going by himself; he's really part of a bucket or category of istinuses, and since he's part of that category, and the roiv of istinuses would leave the sukkah if would leave the sukkah if such an event would happen, if these little chips would fly into the sukkah. So therefore, he was allowed to leave. Let's just finish up. Yarad, he was in the sukkah and started raining, and the Yarad, he left the sukkah. Right, so you don't have to go back into the sukkah, and you can finish your sukkah in your house. We all know that halacha, that if it gets sunny outside, it doesn't make a difference. Again, what's the reason? Teishu came to do it. It all goes back to Teishu came to do. Nobody in the middle of his meal starts taking his plates and his food and moving it from one room to another room, right? So once you moved into your house, you're sitting there. Teishu, that's it. So now you can continue eating over there. If a person was sleeping in a sukkah and it started raining, and he left the sukkah to go back inside, so we don't make him go back into the sukkah until yayar, which seems to be until it gets daylight. So the question was, do you read it with an ayin ad sheyar or with an aleph ad sheyar? Ad sheyar means until he wakes up. So in other words, let's say he wakes up at 2 o'clock in the morning, it's still dark outside, and it stopped raining. Does he have to now go back into the sukkah, or do we say no, ad sheyar until it gets light outside? And meaning that even if he wakes up at 2 o'clock in the morning, since it's pitch black, until the next day, in other words, until it gets light outside the next day, he can still stay sleeping in his bed, in his bedroom. He doesn't have to go back into the sukkah. So Tashma, so we have a raya from Brisa, Ye'ar v'yala amud hashachar. It says until it gets light, v'yala amud hashachar. So frankly, more a tarti. These two things seem to be sides to each other, right? Because, it gets light much later than yala amud hashachar. Yala amud hashachar, it's still dark outside, right? If you wake up at Alois, it's still dark. Right, Ye'ar means when it's light outside. So how could it be that it says Ye'ar with an aleph, Yalim Shachar? So the Brisa changes and says you have to say Ye'ar over here. It means with an ayin. That what? That actually Ye'ar v'Yalam Shachar. And the kavanah is that only if you wake up and already Yalam Shachar, meaning that it's already the next day. So it's the Amud Shachar came out. So then you have to go into the sukkah. Mashenke, let's say you woke up in the middle of the night, right? So then you would not have to, so in other words, if you were Ye'ar, but not Yalam with a Shachar, it was still, let's say, 2 o'clock in the morning, then you would not have to go into your sukkah. You'd be able to continue sleeping, and that's Taka Dalacha, right? We say that if a person in the middle of the night wakes up, it's pouring into his sukkah, which happened many times in Florida. You go into the house. You don't have to then go back even 2 o'clock in the morning to the sukkah when it stops raining, but you can stay there until the next morning. Should we stop here? Or we should just do the last little piece, because the last little piece really is 2 seconds. Let's do the last little piece.